everyone, I'm Amanda with Sweet Pieces, and welcome to our Wax and Top Coat Demo Day. We're here in Huntington, and we have some lovely peeps with us that are going to learn all about wax and top coat. So we have two lines of paint here at Sweet Pieces. We have our General Finishes paint, and we have our Jolie matte finish paint. So these two products are very different, but you can create similar results with them. So with the matte finish paint, there's no prep work required. So you don't have to prime, strip, or sand. You can basically paint over any surface: fabric, plastic, metal, brick, concrete, glass, laminate, veneer, you name it. All you have to do is clean it, which we recommend using a pre-paint cleaner that we carry here. And then you just go ahead and you seal it with wax to give it a layer of sheen and protection. With our General Finishes paint, that product is, we consider it a bit more modern. So you're going to get just a little bit of a shinier finish with it, and it does require a little bit of prep work. So you have to lightly scuff sand it, and then you clean it with denatured alcohol and water. So I want you to just make sure that you're not afraid of that term scuff sand, because I am the laziest DIYer that there is, and I can assure you it's super easy. No, I am. I'm telling you. Are you challenging me? So it's really super easy. It takes just a few minutes, but the results are totally, totally worth it, because it does give you that really beautiful, smooth, modern, shiny kind of finish. So the General Finishes product, you do that prep work, scuff sand, clean with denatured alcohol and water. Again, we carry here at everything here at Sweet Pieces, so we'll get you everything that you need. And then you're going to do your paint, 1 to 2 coats, depending on the heaviness of the color that you want, and then you're going to go ahead and seal it with a top coat. So this product line doesn't require wax. It's actually a brush-on top coat. So we have painted 2 stools here. This one is our matte finish paint in Noir, a brand new color that we have here, which is a true black. We're loving this. And then this guy here is the General Finishes product, and this was done in lamp black, which is the General Finishes color. Gorgeous, gorgeous black. So you can you see that this one looks a little bit more matte, and this one just has a little bit more of a sheen to it? So the paint itself, the General Finishes paint itself, does have a little bit of a sheen to it as it is. It's not going to be quite as matte and chalky as the matte finish paint. Now, if you want to dull this down a little bit, we do have a flat or a flat top coat that you can put on top of this, which would dull it down a bit. We also carry satin and gloss top coat to put on this to make it even shinier than it already is. So now with the matte finish paint, we're going to seal this with wax. So that's where I'm going to start here. I'm going to start with our waxes. So we actually carry 4 waxes. We carry a clear wax, which is what you're going to use, anytime you're sealing your pieces, you're going to use the clear wax. We carry a white wax, which you can't really see on the lighter colors, but you can see it here on the Noir, how it kind of pops, the white. And then we also carry brown, and we carry black waxes. So I'm going to show you, I'm just going to do the clear wax on here, but I'm going to show you on the board how you can use the colored waxes. So we've recently switched product lines. We used to carry another line of paint here that the Jolie matte finish paint has taken the place of. And one of the things that I'm absolutely loving about this new line are the waxes. That was the thing that we just heard the most frustration about, was the wax, that it was just a real challenge to put it on and to maintain it. This new product is totally different. It's so much easier to use. Has anybody here, I know Janine, you've had experience with it. Did you ever use the other product? No. No, okay. Anybody else have an experience with the new versus the old? No.
I haven't used the new.
Oh, you haven't used.
I started the new yesterday.
Okay. The paint.
Paint.
Okay.
But I had an old sideboard that I did, and it was with the other product, and they didn't tell me to put the clear wax on before the black wax.
Okay.
And I just went right to the black wax, and it
Was really dark.
well,
Yeah.
It was just wasn't even.
Okay. Yeah. So this product, you'll be able to get a lot better, a lot more even surface. So you're going to love it. You're going to love it. All right. Okay. Okay, so you're going to have a reference point. This is exciting. Okay, so I'm popping open my clear wax here. Oh, here's another great thing that I forgot to mention. The new wax is non-hazardous and no odor. So it's just even more fabulous all the way around. Julie's trying to tell me something, and I don't know what she's trying to tell me. Oh, there's a higher level of solvent in here, so you actually can get a harder finish with this wax as well. So I'm forgetting all the really important parts of it. Okay, so here is my wax, and I'm basically, I'm just dipping my brush into the wax, and I'm kind of rubbing it off on the edge. Think of this like you're buttering bread. So you want to get like a nice layer on your brush so that you can do like a nice even surface. Come on in. No, don't be silly. And then, this is super easy. All I'm going to do, I'll turn this so you guys can see this a little bit better. I'm just going to take my brush and I'm just going to brush it on. So do you see? Okay, so let me do this. Can you guys see how it's not really covered in this center spot that I just did? Do you see that? But here, it's, I'm just kind of working that brush and moving it around. Do you see that? So if you get this scenario where you're brushing the wax on and it looks uneven, that probably means that you just don't have enough on there. And the nice thing about this is you don't have to put a ton on your brush. You just kind of, work it in until you feel like it's not spreading. So you can, in any direction, yeah, and that's the important thing. So I always tell people that this is like applying hand cream. So when you apply hand cream, you rub it in all directions, right? Or any kind of moisturizer, because you want to get it into all the grooves and crevices of your skin. So waxing is the same way. You're basically creating a nice, even finish on your surface. And you saw how little I put on my brush, and it spread out so nicely. So the other thing that we used to have to always say with our other product is you have to work in a really small section and then wipe it back right away, because it would kind of get like a little bit tacky and sticky. With this product, you can actually, you could just wax this whole entire thing, and then you'll come back and you'll wipe it back, which is really makes it a bit more convenient. And when you the longer you wait, what I'm finding, the longer that you wait, the shinier your finish will ultimately be. All right. Any questions?
What do you mean the longer you wait?
The longer you wait to wipe it back. So, like, if I'm going for a little bit more of a sheen, then I'm probably going to wax my whole entire piece and then come back and buff off any of the excess. Whereas before, I would say, do a door, wipe back the excess. Do another door, wipe back the excess. Make sense? Okay. So I'll just show you how I wipe this back. I'm literally just going to take my rag, and I'm just going to wipe. It's smooth. It's so easy to just wipe. It's not, really grabbing on the surface. I'm not rubbing really hard. I always tell people if you're working harder to wax than you did to paint, you're doing something wrong. It should be a pretty easy process. Okay? And you can see now, if you look at the rest of the bench, don't look at this leg, can you see the difference in the sheen level? This is much shinier than the edges of it are. You guys see that? Okay. So let me talk to you a little bit about colored waxing. Any questions on that? No? Okay. I must be doing good if you guys don't have any questions. So I'm going to pop open my black and brown, and I forgot my white, so somebody's going to grab that for me. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to dip my brush into the clear, anytime you're doing any of the colored waxes, you need to make sure that you put your clear wax on first, okay? So I'm going to brush this on. And you can kind of see, do you see where I just put my brush, how it kind of changes the color of the paint, like that first little stroke. It kind of deepens it a bit. So I'm just going to take this and really get it spread out. Hey, Victoria, when you have a second, can you grab me white wax from the back? And maybe a couple of little wax brushes? Thank you, dear. Okay, so now, do you see how this looks nice and even? There's no, like, streaks or anything in it like before. It's nice and even. So I know that I've gotten my wax on there nice and spread out. So what I do most of the time when I'm doing my colored waxes, I don't even wipe back that clear. I just leave it on there, okay? And then I take my brush and I dip into whatever color I'm using. This is black, for instance. And you can brush this on. And I'm just going to do half this board so I could show you the other half in the brown. And then, thank you, Victoria. And then I wipe. I just go right to it. I just find that I can control the finish a little bit more. Now, is this much more even than the situation that you had?
Yes.
Okay. So this will definitely, you're going to see a big difference. Number one, when you use the clear wax first, and number two, with this new product, because it is just so easy to use. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. You should try it. You know, even if you can. Okay, so there's one side. So now my other side, I'll just use the brown so you can see the brown. You can actually also mix the waxes. So you can mix brown and black together to get a really nice espresso-y color. You can mix the black and the white together to get a gray. The sky is the limit. And then again, you could just wipe. Now, also remember something to keep in mind, wax reactivates wax. So if you make a mistake somewhere, you can use your wax basically like an eraser. So let's say that I feel like it's too heavy right here in the center. I could just take a little bit of clear wax on my rag. These are my favorite rags to use for this. They're lint-free and they're super durable. So I could just take this and I can almost remove that colored wax. So do you see these spots here, how it removed it? It could, yeah. So if you needed to go back and redo it. This is also really good to keep in mind if you have, a scuff or a mark in your wax or on your surface after you're done. A lot of times people think it's the paint, that there's something wrong with the paint. It's really just dirt or something in your wax. So you just take your wax out and use it just like a cleaner. So you'll just put a little bit of clear wax on a rag and just buff out, whatever area you need to clean up. And that's it. I'll quickly show you the white, which is, again, it's a little bit of a challenge on the darker or on the lighter colors. Do it on the top of that? Oh. I am just out of it today. So I'll show you two ways. I'll show you on black and I'll show you on, this is Bliss. So I've gotten that clear wax all spread out there. And now I'll take my wax brush, dip it into my white, and brush it on. The white is really pretty. It's just nice and subtle. It almost gives it like a liming effect. You can also use these waxes on raw wood. If you just want to freshen up just regular wood, you can also use them that way. So I'll just reverse my rag here. but this is going to be very, very subtle. It's just going to kind of catch in the grooves and crevices of your paint. So do you see that? It's just super, super subtle. So now let me show you on the top here of the black. Since Julie brought it to my attention, I have something nice and dark here to do. So I'm just going to kind of rub this. And if I hate this, once I do this, what would I do? There you go. You guys pass. You get an A today. Just use the clear wax to erase it. So this kind of gives it like that, it's like an old chalkboard almost. And I always tell people, you always want to think of, you know, colored waxes shouldn't be thought of as like this super consistent look. It is going to have some variation to it based on the surface. So it's going to catch in the grooves and crevices of the brush strokes, of any kind of detail that there is on the piece. So you really want to keep that in mind. If you're looking for more of an overall consistent look, then you probably want to go with a glazing option. So glazing is different from colored waxing. Everybody see that? We actually did a glazing demo, I think a couple of months ago. Or you can just hop on YouTube, and I'm sure we have a video on how to do that. Any wax questions? No? Okay. So I'm going to jump on over to Topcoat. So we have properly prepped our surface. We've cleaned it. We wiped it down with a tack cloth. We painted the paint on. It's dry. You want to wait like 1 to 2 hours for it to dry. And then you can go ahead and top coat. So I have chosen to pull out the satin top coat. It's by far our most popular finish. And John, can you hand me someone hand me a stir stick, pretty please? So here are a couple of different tools that you're going to want to use when you're top coating. Thank you. First of all, let me just say this. With the general finishes paint, you never want to shake it. You want to make sure that you stir it. If you shake it, you're going to get bubbles. Bubbles aren't good for the paint. It's going to leave, bubbles in your surface. Whereas with the matte finish paint, you can totally shake it. That's totally fine. Same thing with the top coat. You just want to make sure you stir it. Happy painting. Have fun. So I'm just stirring this up here, making sure that there's no thickness or anything on the bottom. It feels like it's nice and consistent. And here are some tools that you can use for this product. So we have some smooth brushes, which are really great for this. They're synthetic. They're nice and smooth. You want to use something smooth whenever you're doing top coat. So this comes in a small and a large. This is also one of my favorite inexpensive tools that we carry here. It's a shortcut brush. It has a nice little rubber handle on it. It's super comfortable. So when you need to get into, small, tight areas, say a bookcase or something, this is really easy to use. And then this is another one of my favorite tools. And this is what I use whenever I'm top coating a very large surface. So think like the top of a dining table or the top of a media cabinet or credenza, even bookcase shelving. Like this is super easy to use. So how do I use this? So I take a paper plate. I pour this out onto the paper plate. I dip this onto the paper plate, and then I take a brush and I smooth it on because I want it to be nice and even on there. I take it, I run it across the table. Run it across. I can usually get like 3 swipes, say on a dining table, with one load up, 3 to 4. And then I'll reload it again, and then swipe, swipe, swipe. Super, super easy. With this product, you do want to apply it somewhat liberally. You don't want it to be dripping, but it should have like a milky sheen to it. It shouldn't be like where you're putting it on and it's almost drying on contact. Okay? So I'll kind of just show you what that thickness looks like. So I'm just going to use my brush here, since this is, you know, a little bit of a smaller piece. And I am dipping and I'm scraping. I'm kind of getting an even amount of product throughout all of my bristles so that I have like a nice sheen on there. And then I'm just going to take this and I'm going to brush. And the other thing with this product is you don't want to overwork it. You want to just kind of get it on there and leave it, and don't keep going over it like I'm going over it right now. And I can tell that my paint or my top coat is kind of running out. So I'm going to go back and add some on. And do you see, like, that's too thick, okay? But you want to just, do you see how I just have like a nice coat on there?
Do you ever use sponge brushes?
You know, I don't personally. I don't like them. I just can't get a hang of them. But a lot of people really love them, and they're totally fine. You can absolutely use them. I do use them sometimes for gel stain. I just find with the top coats, I don't know, I just don't love them. Some of the people at GF love them, like they swear by them, but I don't know. For me, they just don't work. But yes, you can absolutely use that.
What about a foam roller?
Foam roller, you can use that as well, yep.
Now, do you have to put a top coat on the general finishes paint?
What a great question. So do you have to? You don't have to. I always recommend putting a top coat because you're doing all this hard work, you're sanding it, you're prepping it. I would say top coat it. But I think the can might say that it's not necessarily, you don't have to top coat it. So you could leave it. If it's anything that's going to get any kind of use, like a dining table, kitchen cabinets, dresser tops, you should absolutely top coat them. But you could essentially leave it. You want to also make sure if you have drips with this stuff, like I see one over here. See this drip right here? That is going to dry and it's not going to look good. Chris, come on in here. Can you see it? Can you see my little drip right here? So you want to make sure with this product that you're paying attention to that kind of stuff. With the matte finish paint, it's kind of not that important because you could just take a little sandpaper and rub it out and it's perfect and beautiful. With this product, it is a little bit more like the way it dries is the way it dries. And then it's a little bit harder to, you couldn't just sand it out and just leave it. You'd have to go back over it with more top coat. But this is going to dry to more of like a factory type of a finish. So, you know, you've got to kind of, there's like some give and take with it, you know. I did this really beautiful green, emerald green desk at my house, and it's really just very, very perfect. But if you have a piece that has a lot of imperfections to it, like if you have a piece that has like chipping veneer and, you know, it's just not in that great a condition, you're going to have to work a little bit harder if you want to use the General Finishes product. You're going to have to smooth it out, make sure that it's nice and even, whereas you could just throw the matte finish paint on that kind of a piece and it's going to look great. So with the General Finishes, I like to go with pieces that, you know, are in better condition, that they're, you know, ready for like more of a modern type of an upgrade. So there's pros and cons to both of them. Rita actually asked me before we started, which one should I use? And it really just depends on the look that you're going for. If you're going for more of a smooth modern finish, then go with the GF. If you are, I mentioned prep work and Rita was like, no, I don't want to do any prep work. So if that's totally out for you, then, you know, go with the matte finish paint. So there's pros and cons to each one of them.
What about the kitchen cabinets?
So we have been using a product like the matte finish paint for the last 7 years. It's held up beautifully on kitchen cabinets. We have not had any complaints whatsoever. So again, I think it's more about the look. If you're going for like a solid modern finish, if you want pure white kitchen cabinets, stark white, I'm going to go with the GF because it's just going to, and actually we have a product called brushable white enamel, which is really kind of formulated for a kitchen cabinet type product. It's essentially the paint and the top coat in one, and then we actually carry a stain blocking primer that you would use as your base coat, and you're going to get like a flawless factory looking finish white cabinet. But if you're going for something that has, you know, a glaze or a layered type of a finish, you could really go with either product. If you're going for something that you want to do like some distressing on, I'd go with the matte finish paint. So it really just kind of depends on the look that you're going for, and not necessarily, both of the products can do a great job at pretty much anything. Any other questions?
Did you ever put the satin finish on the matte furniture paint?
Another great question. You ladies are just full of great questions today. Okay, so we always recommend using wax with the matte finish paint. We don't like to cross product lines, but can you? You absolutely can. We've tested that for you to make sure that you can. So again, it depends. If you're doing white, I would never put a top coat on a white painted finish. And the reason is because so let's say that you're starting with a mahogany table and you paint it white. Now you put a top coat on it, a typical penetrating top coat like the high performance, where you're kind of brushing it on. It's going to absorb into the surface, it's going to absorb through the paint, and it can pull through any kind of stains, dyes, tannins that might be in the wood, and you then will have a ruined finish essentially. It'll have, you know, marks in it. If you do the matte finish and then you seal it with the wax, that's not going to happen. So that's one reason we stick with that. If you want to do a white surface, then what we recommend is using the stain blocking white primer, which is, and I can say this confidently, the best on the market. The best. There's not a better one out there, period. It's been tested against every single other stain blocking primer out on the market. It's amazing. It's kind of life changing. So if you need to use a stain blocking primer, that is a primer that you should be using. So you could do that, then put the matte finish on top of it, and then seal it with a top coat if you're doing white. If you're doing any other color besides white, you know, any of the mid-tone colors like French Gray, Misty Cove, the Zen, Swedish Gray, Eucalyptus, you could probably use the top coat on top of it and not have an issue. If you're doing any of the darker colors, you'll be totally fine. You won't have any issues. But it's kind of like something you should probably just test it out and see what happens. You know, test it in a small area.
Can you wipe the top coat sealer off before it dries?
No. But you could just let it dry and then throw another coat of the matte finish on top of it, and it would be fine.
On the furniture, we had asked you about you know, the imperfections that we have in the bedroom set. Probably better off with the matte finish, and it will cover the little things and things without sanding it down.
So I didn't see that picture. Yeah. Okay, so dings and things. So, you know, any kind of dings or scratches, I do find that the matte finish, it covers it really nicely, whereas with the general finishes, depending on how harsh it is, it will kind of, it almost highlights it because it's just it's more of that like modern.
Basically wear and tear, you know, it's not deep gouges in it, it's just, you know.
Yeah.
So
If it's very surface, then either paint would probably be fine. If it is, like, if you can feel it and it's like a deeper gouge, then you do want to maybe lightly sand it if you were going to use the general finishes. Yeah. I mean, you can always test it, you know, just put like a little swatch of both of them and see how it looks. You'll be able to tell right away which one is going to hide it better.
And on kitchen cabinets, you know, we have, I guess it's gloss, you know, white. It was told that it was lacquered.
Okay.
You know, there's supposedly imperfections in the grain of the wood and stuff like that.
Okay.
You know, you mentioned that you can use
The matte finish. Yeah. So basically matte finish paint can go over pretty much anything. You do want to clean it and then, just wipe it back, and you can pretty much paint anything. So, you shouldn't have an issue with that. Any other questions? No? All right, well, we're going to come on over to the table, and by the way, I want to just let you guys know, let everybody know, that our next demo is going to actually be at the Fall Festival. Does everybody know about the Fall Festival? So it's like a major mega event every year down in Huntington Village at Heckscher Park. When is it? It's Columbus Day weekend, so we'll be there Saturday and Sunday, all day, both days, demoing like crazy. We'll be demoing all kinds of fun products, so feel free to pop on down and see us there. We won't be doing an in-store demo next month. But come on over, and you guys we're going to play around with some of these products. Thank you so much for joining us. I wish you guys could be here and join in on the phone, but we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Want to learn more? Subscribe now.